There we go. So this is going to be interesting because people are going to have a lovely view of the back of my head. So.
Oh, you have to be sitting there the whole time?
Well, because we're going to have a bunch of people, the answer is yes. I could probably get away from the laptop. That's probably your notifications that we're live now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So grab a drink and come on over to the table.
Where's the throats?
It's all in the fridge.
Sweet.
You can grab me a strawberry wheat. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to the back of my head because I'm in the driver's seat now because we have a whole bunch of people. There's going to be a full one today, a full test of the capabilities of RCR's studio. I am starting here. Let's get some air going on me. So the button over there on the wall will turn on the party lights and the fan. It's really fun when you're in here when I'm folding clothes at night with those lights on, and my eyes slowly white balance for them, and then I walk into another room. Okay, so Greg, there's nothing behind that right now.
I thought there was something hiding there.
So we're either going to put like a picture of Dorian Gray behind that, or perhaps a whiteboard, because we're trying different things to cut down on the echo in this room.
That's
so
nice.
we either have the false wall there, the little like Japanese style folding paper one. Thank you, Tony. Or we'll put up there's another curtain rod over there, and we'll get another curtain, depending which is going to like stop the echo. Filmmaker Ivan Verlan had some suggestions for more sound deadening options, like non-permanent ones. Even in this heat, the sound panels have been falling off of the room upstairs. So I'm like, okay, well, that's bad. But on the other hand, it's good that I know it's not fully adhered to the wall. So when it comes time to take them off, whenever I move out of here.
No, that won't be for a long time.
Yeah. All right. So cheers, everybody. We already have a question here from Hurricane Ian saying, when are you guys coming to Ohio to rip on the Huracan? Or Huracan. You know, I have plans to come to Cincinnati in probably like 2 weeks. It's not permanent though. So that's the plan as of now. I need to first this. Very good.
Is this mic on or?
Yeah.
That mic is on. Yeah, you can pick it up. I think I have a stand here.
Good evening.
Actually, yeah, give a mic check on, let's go do a mic check on Tony.
This is a mic check.
Eat the mic.
Mic check.
Yeah, yeah, that one's a Shure SN95. So you're going to have to stick
right
that
here.
You're going to have to, yeah. There you go.
Lucky you.
If you don't want to hold on to it for a long time, let me give you a stand for it.
Oh, I can hold it all day.
I'm going to get one for these. Actually, you know what? I can futz around with stands later. I'm going to get another one of these $15 Amazon ones, put it on the other side of this. That way you can have 4 mics articulating. But in the meantime, here is a tabletop.
Nice.
Oh, OCD. I was right the first time. That one's too big.
Oh,
I need one that cradles the mic.
I mean, it holds nicely.
Give it back. It's not right. I gotta do it right. So, joining us, we have 3 guests. Nick is upstairs recording a call. Joining us this lovely warm afternoon in Pennsylvania. We have Tony Airlines, which people have seen before, so we'll be answering questions. And we have 2 new guests. Also a pilot, we have Greg International. He will be also answering any airline questions you guys have. We also have Cameron here to answer questions about possibly whenever it happens where RCR should go in Australia.
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a person who spent a good amount of years there. What, like
Oh, like nearly all my life, yeah.
So
And I'm just a bit worried that it might need the subtitles because I was reading through some of the comments and people were like, I couldn't understand the word he said.
yeah,
Like someone translated. It was good.
you guys know. You know what? We will get to your super chat questions in a minute. I am going to join everybody else at the table. We're going to talk together for a little bit. Although Tony is monitoring some of the questions.
Oh
right there
yeah,
on
I
the
just
phone.
have this open. Just
So
in case.
if any like airline questions pop up, be sure to answer that because normally we don't get to answer pilots because RCR sometimes films planes and I get to go in the plane and go, I'm a car guy. What does all this stuff mean? So, but it's now I feel very fortunate now that we have, I suppose, 2 aeronautical advisors for us.
Yay.
So we can talk about the one plane that we were supposed to get that both of you guys
We
said.
were going to do that this week.
Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about that.
No.
The 1940s Piper J3 Cub,
Yeah.
which is essentially the Model T of aviation. It's the plane that introduced the public to flying, as opposed to military airplanes and airliners. This was the plane to do it. This was the plane, post-war plane, that every person was going to buy
No.
and fly. And
Yeah, give me some.
well, it wasn't even a post-war plane. It was during war and pre-war, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe
Yep.
late 30s, I think it came out.
J2, anyhow.
Yeah, and the J2. That was supposed to happen, and the plane was down for maintenance.
Annual.
Annual.
Uh-huh.
The annual. Okay,
The annual.
so airplanes that are airworthy have to have annual inspections. All planes have to do it. And I guess now was the time for the Piper Cubs annual. So unfortunately, can't fly at the moment. Annuals take a while, days, weeks, depends on what's
Who knows? Who knows what they find? Airplanes
Uh,
are complicated machines.
John McCoy says, "What's it like being an airline pilot?" that is a loaded question.
Glorified bus driver.
Glorified,
No.
glorified train driver.
Truck driver.
Because you're
Very
flying
similar.
people who can
Thanks.
afford more than just bus tickets.
Okay, barely.
Just barely. Depends on the airline.
That's right.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
Oh, wait, that window doesn't open.
You get to see the world, and by world I mean Atlanta to Fayetteville.
Des Moines.
Des Moines, Iowa.
Minneapolis. Fargo.
Scranton.
Or some of the more interesting cities like London, Rome, Prague,
I want to fly international so bad.
Berlin, Amsterdam, Brussels.
Oh, I was like, what are we hearing?
It's Nick. Hey, Nick.
Hello.
Oh, right. Cool. I need to find my
That was dead in this. Should we jump into any super chat?
Yeah, if you
Super chat
see one
questions?
that pops up that you want to answer.
Most of them are cars, so I'm not too knowledgeable with that.
Okay.
There's one from Nick H that just says anime titties.
Oh yeah, he always says that. All right, so
Perfect.
Nick, you need the table, so you can sit where I'm sitting. We're kind of doubling up on the mics.
Oh, cool.
I could squeeze that.
Ooh, thoughts on the C8's man grip steering wheel?
The what?
The steering wheel on the C8.
what now?
Humans and such.
That is a weird steering wheel, isn't it?
Got a sheep burrito that's probably warm as piss right now.
That's about it. You bought that 2 or 3 hours ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. This is my prop this week. My prop is a light, fog light from Cameron's BMW 530i.
Yeah,
That he
540.
540. I'm thinking of the 330 Ci. And Richie was gracious enough to allow me to drive today. It was very nice because in the reality of the situation being that, full disclosure, I'm not that great with manuals. You know, I mean,
Tell us your manual experience.
I mean, I've had my share of experience with manual cars and transmissions and all that stuff, but it's not like riding a bike in the way that it is for other people because manual transmissions are very temperamental. So it's one of those well-known quirks about me that I just kind of need to get better at manuals because I'm really not that good. And that's kind of partially like an anxiety thing because growing up, I was always afraid I would stall in the middle of traffic, all this other stuff. And Cameron's been gracious enough to provide the 540i. And it's been very great just hanging out with him. We went to Cabela's today. It was great. And yeah, I've been getting more experience and more time out there. I know it's weirdly counterintuitive to have this job and not be that great of a driver, even though technically I've never been in an accident before, so that's great. But knock on wood. But it's also something where when you're hyper aware about everything, then everything becomes something that can go wrong. And so I end up in this situation where I'm constantly second guessing myself when something really should just feel like a natural extension of what it is I do already, you know, in terms of driving. So this light has been like a nice little thing. Normally, I don't try to like draw any attention to the props unless
I'll just say that the bumper was broken before that. And it happened to fall out, and there was some guy pointing at us, and I didn't know what the hell it was on about. I just waved. It's like the light.
I do feel like I'm gradually improving, and it feels good, and also it feels weird going back to my car again because like my growing up with manuals, or I mean growing up with automatics, it's made driving a completely different experience because, you know, like as a kid, like when I was, you know, driving age, the only places, because I didn't have my own car, that I could really go was to take like my mom somewhere in a Pontiac Vibe or take my grandmother somewhere in a Chevy Malibu. Like those were the only really options I had for drive time because it's not like I'm gonna, you know, I had overprotective family. They're not gonna give me the car to just go out and do whatever. And so it's weird to kind of eventually get a car and have the entire thing in your own name and not have to lease it, just buy it outright. But then you realize after a certain point that your sphere of reference for manuals kind of goes down precipitously the less time you spend with it. And it is to the point where I just wanted to get to that riding bike part because every manual transmission is so different and temperamental. Like yours is very much like a notchy
it's got a short shifter and it's not a real good shifter to learn on.
It has like a mood all its own, weirdly enough, and which sounds strange to kind of say, but
it does.
It is true, and but it's a lot of fun to do. And of course I know why so many people are manual transmission purists, but also I've long been the one who's banging the drum for, because I get a lot of messages from younger people who feel like they're not worthy of being called car people because they don't drive manuals. And I'm like, that's BS because you don't have to drive at all to be a car person as long as you're into cars. Like this is the thing about it is that cars are not exclusionary the way that other fandoms necessarily are. I mean, they absolutely can be. But what I'm saying is that, you know, you can't call yourself a gamer if you don't game, that type of thing. Whereas, like, if you're into cars, if you're into the history of cars, and, you know, you're into how they work and function and everything, you know, there can be any number of reasons why a person might not be able to drive at that particular moment. But who cares what you drive as long as you drive? And that's the beauty of cars. And the great thing about being able to sort of exist in this automotive continuum where, you know, I love being able to go out there like with you and just hang out or go to like Cabela's and look around at stuff, and because it's such a bizarre place. Like even living around them, it's kind of never stops being strange to me because it's this weird hybrid of department store and restaurant and museum. And so, yeah, I don't know.
It's I'm going to use your microphone. It's interesting that when I came over and heard that you were out learning manual, because you and I are the only people who haven't grown up with manuals at this table, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. The Honda Beat is my learner, is my manual learner. And I just wanted to get that dexterity down.
I know.
Hello.
Hey, we got Jim showing up.
I have no idea what's going on.
I'm sorry, Jim doesn't have a mic.
Game's all here.
But yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry for everybody who's watching. Like, okay, we got my neighbor just showed up because Tony. I told him to come over because Tony brought his Honda Beat, which creates like a car show wherever it goes. It's the darndest little.
What is that?
What is?
Why
Is
is
that
the steering wheel on the wrong side?
Are you allowed to drive that on the road there, butt? Oh, can I get your beer or anything?
I'm okay.
Oh, okay. So we took. You drove your car 2 hours here from Jersey. You got how many pictures taken of you?
I got honked at once. I got my picture taken thrice, and I got passed by several tractor. I got passed by several tractor trailers as well.
Yeah.
But I still made it at 70 miles an hour in 6,000 RPM for a couple of hours, and I didn't blow up.
And your red line is
8,500.
Yeah.
The car is built to handle the high revs, which is nice because
Yeah.
it makes me feel a little safer that I won't catch fire spontaneously.
You said it's 660 cc's?
656.
656, 8,500 RPM, double cams, 3 throttle bodies, individual throttle bodies, 1 for each cylinder.
M-Trek.
And yeah, and when you take when you take the airbox off, and people who don't know about Honda Beats, like Honda gave, there are velocity stacks that go right into the airbox from Honda. They're like, look, we need absolutely as much power as we can squeeze out of this thing. But it does take high test, right?
Yeah.
High test. What was I born in the 50s? High test. My dad says high test.
Acoustic theory says rev it to the moon, and you really have to with this car in order to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And these hills in mid-stick PA, you're going to be downshifting into 4th, maybe even 3rd, and like right pegged at 6, 7. You saw when you were driving this car for the first time.
I was in the top half of the RPM band the whole way.
Yeah, I can't drive in 5th gear all the time here because it's just too helly.
Yeah.
And yes, you get 44 foot-pounds of torque, but still, you have 63 horsepower.
Jim, do you feel like commenting on your project that you were working on, or no? I know it's like it's weird having an audience like right here. I don't think we have enough mic cable for that one to work, but maybe this guy will.
It's nothing special. It's an old school. It's not a Honda. It's the old American Iron. A 74 Z28 Camaro. I had back in '87. I got it. I was 17 years old. I used to drive it to school. And a lot of memories. Drank a lot of beer and had girls in the car and all that good stuff, you know. So it was hard to get rid of. I was going to get rid of it a couple times over the years. I went through multiple homes, a wife, kids. Almost got rid of it quite a few times, but I kept it. I just can't. Now that I'm this far into it, I started revamping things. Put a Tremec 5-speed in it because it had the old Muncie 4-speed, and it has 373 gears, and the extra gear is gonna be nice.
Yeah. Does what sort of role is like your old Camaro, like the one you're talking about? What's that going to play, and how is it going to play off your current one that you're working on?
Well, I have two. I have a 69 and I have a 74, but the 69 I only have about 10 years.
Okay. I
always wanted one of them originally when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I looked for one. I couldn't find one at that time, and I ran into the 74. That's my favorite, even though that is not as desirable. The first generation Camaros are.
Oh yeah.
They're the ones everybody's looking for.
Right.
But they're a little shorter wheelbase. It's a rear steer car. It's not as like the steering box is more toward the firewall, whereas
is that what
gen the steering box is up in front of the A-arms.
Oh, is that what they mean by rear steer?
Right, rear steer, the box is behind the A-arm.
Oh, okay.
Front steer is the boxes before.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Huh.
And the second gens are, I don't know, about 6, 7 inches longer. So the body style in my eyes isn't as cool and isn't as desirable, but the seat wraps around you for that era, for the 70s, you know. I mean, the 69, it's like sitting in this chair right here.
Yeah.
It's like a park bench, you know.
Yeah.
Cushion, straight, not very comfortable. Doesn't feel racy.
No.
Beautiful car. Everybody loves it. When I take it somewhere, people were blowing the horn or waving and asking me about it. But you can't, you're not sitting low. You're not wrapped in. You don't have the small steering wheel like the first gen. That is more racy.
Oh, yes.
But it doesn't have the looks.
But back then in the 60s, they had the freedom to just design artfully everywhere. There was just safety. Well, let's make it look beautiful. That way you won't crash it.
I think the seatbelts didn't really start coming into play till maybe 65, 4.
Yeah.
And before that, even they really didn't even have one. They might have been an option.
Yeah. Because my Falcon, there was just there's nothing. And I saw later, I think I saw him once at Ford Nationals in Carlisle, a first-gen Falcon with seatbelts. But when I looked at where they put it, the B-pillar of a Falcon, they're like 3 inches wide. And it almost looks like at the factory, they got like a self-tapper and just went, right? Yeah, there's your shoulder belt. Because there was one with a shoulder belt. Like, that's not really going to do anything right there.
But I guess if the government standards for that year, they might have been trying to push a little bit.
Yeah.
Safety-wise, so they had to make an effort to do something. They weren't real serious about it till later down the road.
Nick, what car were we in where it had shoulder belts, but there were 2 pieces? We had a belt buckle. The what?
The Brat.
Maybe the Brat.
What do you mean 2 pieces?
Like you maybe it was similar to your
harness?
No, it wasn't a harness. It was you got your lap belt ready to buckle, but you don't clip it yet, and then you pull the shoulder and clip it in, and then all 3 of them clink together.
It was like a 2-piece thing. Whereas years later, you grabbed one belt and you pulled it over. Yeah. And it was almost like a 3-point harness. So
Yeah.
Actually, the Ambassador had a weird seatbelt.
It might have been the Ambassador.
Yeah, that's an old school.
Yeah, we were filming an AMC Ambassador. Oh.
AMC's always made some weird, very unique.
Yeah.
Very unique.
Like you can make GM jokes how like the 305 and everything, like, oh, it made 190 horsepower. This was a 390 that made like 170. And it's like, and it's pre-smog too. And so I don't know what their excuse is. It's just, if it had a 2-barrel, so okay. But no cats, so it could breathe. And I guess it might have been down to like what was the rear end? Something, yeah. Like you got into 3rd gear at 38 miles an hour. If you were taking it easy, it would be in 3rd gear, and then that's it. It's just head
grocery getter.
Yeah.
Not really a hot rod by any means.
No.
That was a nice car, though. It took me back to being like 5 years old or something, in the 70s. There's just that whole vibe inside it. Yeah.
So AMC, they didn't export, I think, at all out of the United States, did they? No.
But that kind of style was like the vibe of it took me back to that era of cars.
Yeah.
Like it could have been that Ambassador, or it could have been like an old Ford Falcon in Australia.
Yeah. I have to ask, what was your first car in Melbourne?
First car was a 74 HQ Monaro V8 Holden.
Okay.
Which was the HQ up until the Commodore came out was like the most produced Australian car, like that HQ model. So they were everywhere. And you could get them in all different trim levels, basically. So you could get like a basic Belmont, which was your basic one, up through different trim levels, to the Monaro was like the coupe sports version.
Okay.
And then there was a Statesman, which was like the luxury version.
I remember hearing about the Statesman in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And did they share that? Did Holden and GM, I mean, technically the same company, but not really?
Well,
how much did they share now that
they shared a lot, actually.
Oh,
a lot of the earlier things until the Commodore came in, a lot of that was Australian design, had Australian engines. And when the Commodore came in, which was kind of Opel based, it then became more of the modern cross-platform sort of deal.
What about what year was that?
Oh, look, roughly 80.
Mia, no, this is not pre-recorded. We are watching it. I can see you. We will get to super chats. Don't worry. We will answer your questions. We got the gang all here, so we want to give everybody the chance before we talk. This is not pre-recorded. We are live.
I completely forgot the sign that said getting super chats shortly.
Okay.
And also the don't.
We got to put it behind that curtain back there.
Clever. Yeah. It's just kind of pull it. Ooh.
You mentioned Opel. Is Opel a thing in Australia?
Well, not as a brand, but as parts of Opel.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're abundant. I was in Germany, and they are quite abundant. Yeah. Like dealers and everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was one of those deals where it was a sort of Opel-based design, and then it was modified to become a Commodore. And I'd call the Commodore an Australian car. It just isn't a nuts and bolts Australian car.
Right.
Yeah.
About what year is that? When I mean, I know people can tell me in the chat and everything. When did the Commodore start?
Around 1980.
Oh, really? It's that recent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought the Commodore went all the way back to this.
Look, I might have got it a few years out, but it's roughly that. There was the big change that the H series, there was a model called a Kingswood, and that was kind of like the Australian car. There was like TV shows named after it, Kingswood Country, and all sorts of things. And it was like,
we've never had anything like that.
Yeah.
Do we have any shows that are named after cars?
That we reviewed the Defiance.
Yes, that's recent. Yeah.
Which, I mean, granted,
it was a modern Charger.
Yeah, everyone gets sued over for modifying their Mustang.
They made a video game out of it, and it was like deep cable
thing. It was
a
video game first, if I remember correctly.
And then because you wrote half the review on that.
Yeah, and it's because I was that was during the time where I was still working as a television reporter, reviewer, critic person as a side hustle, and then technically RCR was a side hustle. I forget which was the side hustle and when. It's like trying to keep.
Well, that was when you were working for Ricky.
Together. Yeah,
and then RCR was a side hustle, and then you quit Ricky, and then
RCR became Ricky became but like. That was a TV show and a video game at basically the same time, but it was like the show ended up, oh man, I forget which died first. I should probably just go back and watch that video. I'm sure it says. Yeah. But it was just a bizarre show that they tried to start off with like super deep lore going in of just like, this is what the world is like now, and only so many like races exist of aliens and humans and
let's make Mad Max, but in St. Louis. That was kind of what the show was. Yeah, we'll have this Charger, and it was so weird when like we got the car from the show. We got the hero car, and it's like, okay, they put this wrap on it to make it look like it's been weathered. This show takes place in 2090 or whatever. And they're like, oh, this car's all rusted. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is like a 2013 Charger. Why is the plastic rusting? You know, they put this wrap over everything. And it's like, all right, come on.
Also, it turns out that the show lasted 3 seasons, but somehow the video game yet lives.
Yeah.
But the idea being that, like, in the modern age of television where the ability for success, or the threshold for success is so much lower, I feel like Defiance getting more seasons than Firefly is kind of absurd, but Firefly would probably run for like 10 seasons now, and CW would have a very low overhead because now CW is just the DC network now.
Really?
Did you tell them the news with Ivan?
Oh yes, Ivan. Yeah. Hi. Sorry that no one can see me because I'm working the board right now. Like on Thursday, well, I guess in the future, when we have 5 people, I just have to be at the board because this is the seat. So sorry, everybody who's watching, that you just see the back of my head.
It's a beautiful head.
Well, I wish we had like a camera.
I'm realizing that I like when I cut my hair next, I have the stupid tail right here in the back. That bugs the crap out of me. I gotta buzz it out. I gotta go stand in the backyard and my mom hates it when I buzz my hair down. But I buzz my hair down, so I only have to cut my hair like 3 times a year. And I'm like, all right, I'm done. It's good. I'm not
still trying to hide your identity.
Like, yeah.
You got the Dr. Claw thing going on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've been selected for a film festival in some part in New York.
Yeah, somewhere in New York. It's the Hudson Valley Film Fest.
That's awesome.
And,
bring that mic a little bit closer.
It was the West Valley review. Oh, what was that?
Bring the mic a little bit closer.
Oh, bring the mic. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, that one's not boosted like the rest of these ones are. I'll have a solution in the future.
Yeah. It was the Vanagon West Valley review, Almost Like Home. So it's entered as Almost Like Home. Unfortunately, well, depending on how you look at it, Ivan had to excise the commercial from the video because, like, the ad that you guys recorded for the Coat the Wax, which was super weird and perfect, but within the context of the film, like, as a singular entity, you know, it's like, I don't know, there are rules and things. And so anyway, yeah, that's a big deal. And now we get to go to a film festival at the end of August that takes place exclusively in a drive-in. So that's very nice. We don't have the full details yet on like how many people can go and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All we know is that, like, you know, there's grand prize and there's jury prize, and it would be so wild to win something because, like, I'm not used to winning things. I mean, okay, I won like this one Reddit contest once, but other than that, it's like I don't think I've ever won anything before, and so that would be very nice. Even though I don't think I would get the award, I think it would either go to like you or Ivan, whoever was like a producer. Like I was just
probably go to Ivan.
Yeah,
that's the thing about that video is it's like this feast for the eyes. It's like this eye candy thing.
It really is.
Way beyond the stuff we can film. But it'll be fun. I'm thinking, do I want to just drive the Subaru up there? Am I going to have to drive back? That's the thing.
Yeah. No, I figured it would be like one of those things where we drive up, get a hotel, and then
Warwick's out there.
Is it?
What's
out there?
Warwick, New York.
What's in Warwick?
That's where
the film festival. The drive-in.
Yeah. That's like I'd have to look at it on that. I'm pretty sure it's approaching Rochester.
Oh, okay.
Really?
No. This brings me to.
I thought we would take like 78 or like 81 for a little bit and went up, and then if we have to drive back at the end of the night, I know it's 2 hours. If we have to drive back at the end of the night, then I'm taking the Subaru. If we get a place to stay, then maybe it'll be fun to take the Falcon and bring the Falcon and have that at an old school drive, and that'd be kind of cool.
It's actually a lot closer than I thought. It's 2.5.
Yeah, that's what Ivan said.
2.5 hours?
It's more near the New Jersey border.
Oh,
but it's still 2.5 hours from here?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well,
up toward like Port Jervis.
I can handle about an hour in the Falcon. It's just the wind of 60s cars. They're not aerodynamic.
But I was going to say, I have a...
Of course, it's all windows down because there's no air conditioning. I'm driving the stupid thing in August. Have both smoker windows open, both floor vents open. And it's great when you're driving. I'm looking at Jim right now. It's like, yeah, they're great. And then you stop at a red light.
I have a...
Yeah.
I have a friend.
Back then, like 3-2 beer, that was just water.
I have a friend in Rochester, if it had been in Rochester, who literally messaged me yesterday about how, like, if I was ever going up to visit, or if you were ever going up to visit, that he has like rooms and with its own bathroom and everything. Nice. So that, like, if we're up in that area and we want to film something in that area, then just let him know, and he'll always have like a room for us, or like rooms for us in the plural, which is just like delightful. And so depending on where it is in New York, well, I mean, we know where it is in New York, but you know, it could be a nice thing. So yeah.
You know who's up there is Angry Orchard.
Ugh.
Like the orchard.
Oh, like the orchard itself?
Yeah.
I'll go
the
to the
vegetables
orchard. I'm not
mad?
drinking that stuff. Why don't I
Not the
just
best,
drink a
yes.
bag of sugar?
It's the Walmart of ciders, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I did buy it back in the day.
You're right.
I tasted. You can't even taste the alcohol. It tastes like like Gears iced tea. I think we've been doing this for about 40 minutes now. Any objections to going to super chats?
Oh, well, no, I just wanted to call
Oh
out
yeah.
that I actually brought something.
Wait, I'm going to get a beer. You can open it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And my last trip back home, I was buying a few bits and pieces, and I found this, and I just thought this is really the most appropriate time
Oh,
to
for
bring in
sure.
kangaroo nuts.
Yeah.
Into a bottle opener. And
Yeah. It's like,
nice.
well, okay.
They're nice and
It
soft.
stands up. Well, yeah, they're very delicate.
Straight up, they're good.
That's the real deal.
It's a real deal. That's what they told me anyway.
It says made in China somewhere on the bottom. Huh?
When I knocked on your door, that's what I was coming to see.
So I was talking to Cameron about the possibility of finding like $1,000 manual transmission junker.
Yes.
And I just like, it wouldn't even be something necessarily that I would keep. It would just be long enough to where I get confident, you know, because I live in a place where everything is street park. So it would have to be a beater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it couldn't be something nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been keeping an eye out.
I've been thinking about that, and I've been thinking about a car like possibly I would buy for myself, but I don't know if I could turn it into a flip. Yeah, right. The one that's for sale on Facebook Marketplace in Lebanon. I saw it. It's yellow. It's got the zebra seats. It's amazing, and I thought about it.
I hear there's a deuce and a half in Akron, Ohio for $3,000.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
They see me rolling.
I didn't know that they offered the Toyota Camry, the regular family 4-door midsize car Camry as a 6-speed manual.
Ooh.
You can get that just PTA meeting fresh, easy listening, Seals and Croft. Who else? Utter yacht rock. This rolling coffin that someone buys in 2008 because I got about a good 20 years left in me and I like Toyotas, so I'm gonna buy this thing. But it was offered with a 6-speed manual. So, and what that gets you is it gets you the Toyota blacktop engine, because that's the one they're using. I forget the designation. It's the 1.8 liter. But it has double cams and it will rev to, I think, 6.5, but fuel cut happens at 7. So you could have this just plain family car that, sorry, I'm getting ADD distracted, realizing how hot an Apple adapter gets.
Call the
Feel
police and the
this.
fireman.
Feel that thing.
Oh, jeez.
My goodness. That doesn't seem normal. Has this been this hot the entire time that I've had this laptop?
Should have let my burrito sit on that
I know,
first before
right?
eating it.
Ugh, I'm glassed and los. So I see people in the super chats. Don't worry, we'll get the recommendation right now. Is I see them in the general area, Toyota Camrys with the 6-speed manual. And they're hovering around $4,000. So I don't know if it's going to be the $1,000 beater you're looking at. $1,000 6-speed. Well, you're not going to get. You're probably going to get a 5-speed. What can you get for a $1,000 car that's in manual? You're not getting Jeep. Jeeps are way too overpriced. Maybe a Cavalier. Maybe
My thing is that I want something.
Geo Prism.
No,
Yeah.
they're not around.
I just want something that's garbage that will drive off the lot without me having to like, okay, well, you're getting it now, but you got to like do this, this, and that before it'll run. Like I need it to run as I leave so that I just like am driving it home.
Anything Volkswagen?
Possibly. But then I
Maybe
become a
like
PA dubber or something over time.
I know,
You know?
but there'd probably be a good selection of Volkswagen.
Around
products
here,
in
you
there.
you're getting like a 98 Jetta in manual.
Yeah.
You're getting a 98 Jetta from some guy, pot marks all over his face. It's been straight piped. It has 3-inch piping in it. All right. It has the seats have tons of cigarette burns, exclusively done by Swisher Sweets, and it has like the most expensive thing in the car is the Blaupunk stereo that's being held in there with like folded over bits of cardboard that they got from folded over bits of losing lottery tickets to shove the head unit in there to make it stick. Maybe, I mean, like logically, like I would say shoot for the $1,500 to $2,000 range and just get a Toyota or maybe a Honda, but don't get a Honda that's been modified. Get like a Civic. Well, you're not going to get a Civic hatch because those things are going up in price now. People want stupid amounts of money for those things now. You have one, right, Greg? Or do you have a sedan?
No, I have a 90 Honda Accord.
Oh, that's right. But that one has the flip-up headlights?
No,
no?
it's not. No,
Oh,
that was
okay.
the first year. Then after, I think the 89 was the last year of the flip-up headlights.
Oh,
The 90
I
was the first
love
year.
that. I love that it was just
That
an
has the
everyday-
choking shoulder harness that was automatic when you close the door and people get tangled up in.
I'm seeing among recommendations Protege, Saturn, no specification, 80s Toyota 22 RE pickup, Mercury Tracer or Ford Escort.
Good luck with that.
I'm seeing a
pickup.
lot of 90 Civics
Yeah,
on here.
an 08 Sentra,
You can't get a Toyota pickup
Oh,
for $1,000
no way.
anymore.
95 Legacy.
They can have
wagon,
one with
5
like
speed.
no title, and they want $4,000 for it
What about
because
some
it's a
sort
Toyota
of
22 RE pickup.
like a GM work truck? Just a basic work truck with roll-up windows.
What kind of truck can you get for $1,000? Not like a Ram that's just like that has no wheel arches
Just like a
anymore
Chevy,
in the back. It's
just like a Chevy 1500.
a
When,
1,500 for $1,000? Maybe.
It's going to have some damage.
Oh, sure.
Jim, you're a
This isn't
GM
gonna
guy.
be
What do you
nice.
think? What can you get for $1,000?
Cavalier. What else was there? Pontiac made it. Basically the same thing.
Sunfire.
Sunfire, something in that kind of line.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing exciting. The truck thing, he might be onto something. Regular 2-wheel drive,
All right.
half-ton pickup. You
gonna
might
have
get
rust.
lucky. It's gonna be rusty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be included. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's why it's $1,000 because you
But
know
you got a truck.
the
At least
frame
you
will
have
be.
something.
That's
Yeah,
right. The
You
frame
know,
will
you
be
can use it
rusted.
to haul, pick things up.
Yeah.
Pontiac G8.
It's gonna have no head unit. It's gonna have the bench seat and half the bench seat because the guy's gonna do the McDonald's play slide move, getting out of that bench seat. Half that bench seat is just gonna be goosh. Half of it you're gonna drive like this as it goes down. You get like a grandma pillow to prop half of that bench up. That was the thing about. Oh, I can't talk about that truck because that's an upcoming video and I don't want to spoil it.
Mhm.
It was nice because it was a Ford truck from the 80s and the bench seat wasn't spoiled. I'm like, whoa. Oh, so
Super chats, I guess.
super chats. Okay, we're gonna be here for a while. We're in it for the long haul. Will Downs, thank you, Will. Any plans for Seattle next year? You guys can review my 2000 Honda Civic LX and get the origins of Ricer culture. Oh, believe me, I was in high school in the 90s. I know all about that. I even did a number on my Dodge Neon that I had. Tried to make that thing look like a Civic. Ugh. No plans for Civic next year, although we do have Pacific Northwest in general. But again, because of the demonstrations right now in Portland, that's where we were going to fly into PDX. But right now we're talking to Frederick Knutson, and it just keeps going out there. So we're not flying out there as much as Greg told me earlier that October is going to look like a good time to fly with prices. But
Yeah, I think so.
but
they'll be hurting
Yes,
for
they will.
people. They'll be giving seats away, is my guess.
Well, maybe they'll be coming to a resolution, but this is not a political podcast, but I don't think we're going to see a resolution for that until after the election. which is going to go one of two ways. One, it'll be resolved, or two, they're going to double down, and we know what the answers to both those are, but we'll leave it at that. This is a car podcast. So yes, I do want to come to the Pacific Northwest. We had this whole big plan to film stuff around Mount St. Helens and the state parks around there. Beautiful shots. The cars were all picked out. It'll happen when it happens, Will. Thanks. Nick H., we already had your question, but I'll just say it again because you're here for every single time we do this. You have no question. You just want me to say the words anime titties, and I did that. Ryan Ferrier, thank you for your donation from Canadian. Oh, is there someone at the window?
Oh, no.
Oh,
I was just...
thank you for your donation, Ryan. A family member is thinking of buying a babied 2017 AMG GTS with 5,000 miles. Okay, Mercedes GTS. Rather than a 2020 C8 Corvette, which vehicle should he go with? Okay. All right.
Can you get a C8 Corvette in that one?
I don't know. I'm guessing. Oh, the pre-orders for that car.
For 2020 at least.
Oh, no, you can't.
Yeah.
The pre-orders for the C8 exceeded the pre-orders alone exceeded General Motors manufacturing numbers. So what I figure is and we've been over this before. What I think, and I'm going to parrot rabbit from VinWiki, that probably the dealers that do get shipments of C8s are going to take them. They're going to put them in a warehouse off the lot, and then they're going to have one. They're going to have one in the showroom and one in the back. And those are the ones they're going to say they have. And when someone comes in and wants a color that they don't have, they're going to go, well, let me see if I can get it. And then they'll find it, and they're going to tack on $1,000
it's like
bringing it here fee.
$200,000 Callaway option or something like that.
Callaway already got their hands on one, and Callaway found a way to stick 2 turbos in the C8. Now, Callaway, it's interesting because someone emailed me, the C8's CAN bus software is encrypted with 128-bit encryption. So there is no hacking that ECU right now in the C8. It's completely locked down. But I think since Callaway gets a nod from GM, they were able to do their own thing. What the horsepower numbers they put down escapes me. Maybe it's online. But it's sort of like an unofficial thing that Callaway was doing. I think the way they got those turbos, they put the turbos in where the rear trunk, that tiny little rear trunk is. The rear trunk is gone in the Callaway. That's where your turbos in the intercooler goes. And excuse me. However, they put I don't know how they're getting air to that intercooler. They had to build some sort of ducting to get it in there.
Yeah, with a mid-engine car, you really need actual functional air vents for that.
Right. Unless they found a way to put the intercooler all the way in. No, wait, that doesn't make sense. Because why would you pipe in air all the way to the front intercooler and have it come all the way back? It's going to warm up again by the time it gets to the... Yeah, no. I don't know what they did. So my answer is go with the Mercedes right now. There are people, trying to scalp C8s right now who bought it and then resell them. They're probably making 10 grand on their thing. Wow. Oh, yeah. and these are bases C8s. They're coming out with the Z06 soon. Now, what they're going to do with the Z06, I don't know. I have a guy in Cincinnati who has a C6 Z06. And I'm interested to drive that thing when I go out there because that's an all-motor Corvette. The Z06 and those didn't have anything. It was just like the 7-liter thing. So, which is interesting because that 7-liter, I think, was like 510 horsepower. And the C8 with, I think it's 5.7. That's also making nearly 500. So anyway. So my answer, good question, Ryan. My answer is go with the Mercedes. You are going to have a little bit more comfort than you are in the C8. Don't worry. The C8, that platform is going to stick around for probably at least, I'm guessing, what's your over-under? How long do you think they're going to stick with that platform?
My gut says 10 years.
20.
20 years. What do you think, Jim?
I would say 5 to 10.
Going low number, you think they're going to get, yeah.
Well, this is finally the year that someone can afford something that looks like a Ferrari but doesn't cost Ferrari prices of 6 figures.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're going to buy it.
I don't know. The C7 seemed to come and go really quick. Yeah. The C7 came around and because we did it like the second year it came out.
Yeah, it wasn't too new.
No. Okay, I remember I sat in a C7 the year before I went to Alaska, so that was 2012, I think, for the 2013 model year, maybe. And then, so 2013 to 2019. That wasn't long. People in the chat will correct me.
There's also
it was under 10 years.
There's an Australian aspect of the C8, which was that the test bed was a Holden Ute. The very first one. Yeah. It was a whole new, and that's the position of the engine, and they sorted everything out. But yeah, from a Ute, that was the first C8.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
we got to get. There's a guy who has the GM equivalent of the El Camino, who I want to bring up here.
Yeah,
and I didn't even know that there, or a GMC equivalent of the El Camino, which is not the Caliente. What was it, Nick?
The Caballero.
Caballero.
Yeah.
I like the accent.
And I guess it's just a fancier El Camino. But yeah, like that was like the United States' most successful Ute, I think, was the El Camino.
I think it's the only one. I mean, everyone, when I try and say what a Ute is, they go, "Oh, an El Camino."
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah,
it's a car truck. Yeah. we had the Ford Ranchero, and that lasted into the 70s, where it got weird because it had like that personal luxury car front that Ford was doing, where the turn signals extend farther than the headlights. That weird thing. And then there are weird things like the Subaru Baja. That's a Ute. Oh, and then Ford again with the Explorer Sport Track. That was another. Oh, and would you call a Chevy? Oh, what did the Avalanche? Is that technically? Well, it's a Ute, or is it a quad cab pickup? I don't know what you want
to be a Ute.
Well, Honda had that similar sort of crossover.
They did.
Ridgeline.
The Ridgeline, yes.
Yeah, a unibody. I look at that as just a truck.
The bed is too short to be practical.
Oh, that's right.
Pick up your giant wood panels from Home Depot.
Yeah, because it just ends.
Yeah.
And there is no pass through. Whereas with the Avalanche, it does pass through.
Like you're gonna be hanging out properly, I hope. 2x4s from the back with flags and ropes.
Man.
Whereas you get a used F-150.
Yeah.
Throw right in there.
Yeah. Hurricane Ian says, we were talking before the pandemic about you guys coming. I have a few cars you have not done. CLS 63 AMG, the E-Pace, and the Huracan. Do you still want to come for a weekend or question mark? It's an idea, because now with hotels being strange, you almost have to have someone local you can stay with when you travel out of state. I am interested. Bump your email, Ian. Right now, if we travel, the order is you have to. I think Pennsylvania, we don't have to quarantine if we go Jersey, New York. I don't know if it's Maryland, and it's not Ohio. So I know I can go to Ohio, and I don't have to stay at home for 2 weeks. My mom went down to visit her sister in Florida, and she had Florida is a. So she stayed home for the past 2 weeks. She even had me do a beer run she wanted a shandy. So Brian, go to Giant, bring me something. So yeah, send me an email, Ian. Thank you so much. Eli Burchell. Thanks for doing these more often now. Really enjoy the podcast. Well, hey, thank you for your donation. I might ask a real question later if I think of something. Hey, fine by me. That was an easy question. David KHD says, will you review my 5th generation 4Runner? I sent an email, but it has modifications, so now I can drive it up to you. Interesting. I do like 4Runners. And I like them because I'm thinking about replacing my Forester with a 4Runner, but I don't know if it's going to fit through that door of the garage. because a 4Runner is a Tacoma, but taller.
Without the tape measure, man, you just got.
Yeah, I got 2 inches here. If I buy a 4Runner, I'm going to be parking it on the street, and I don't want to be that guy who has, you know, if I can park in the garage, I can park in the garage. But the thing about 4Runner is it's wide too,
and you're narrowing, further narrowing an already narrow street.
Yeah,
but I mean, you also, when we were coming up that one time earlier, there was someone who was working on her cleaning out her car, and she just had the door open.
Yeah,
and, just the mere act of opening the door suddenly cut off like a third of the street, and it made it so much harder. All right, easy. Yeah, it's gonna take all my skill. Yeah, and it's just something where I think just this entire neighborhood is a series of very narrow pathways.
It's Old Town, Pennsylvania. This house existed mostly before cars. So weird. When was the Benz Patent Motorwagen? That was like 1886 or something like that. And this house is 1877.
You got it.
Which is why there's so many. Well, no, that would have been later. Like Tony was asking why there were so many places to hang your like laundry. Like the clothesline goes all the way down to the alley. Those posts go all the way down the backyard. And I'm like, but they're kind of like modern-esque. They could have been like 50s. I don't know. Do you know?
No.
No. Okay.
They look like 50s.
Is the outhouse fully functional?
Greg, is it
find out?
Let's go. Field trip podcast.
I remember once when Bruce Henn lent me his Raptor for, like, they didn't want me. The story is I had to drop the Falcon off for something, and no, I had to drop. No, wait, I forget whatever reason, but I didn't have a ride home. But no, I had to drop something off, but for whatever reason, my motorcycle was involved, and Susie Henn didn't want me riding my motorcycle home because it was winter. And I'm like, it's not snowing. I'm just cold. That's all. So she said, Bruce and I, we took separate cars. You just take the Raptor and drive home. And I'm like, all right. So I'm driving this Raptor through Origsburg, and, you know, a 4Runner is wide. You know, a Chevy Silverado is a wide truck. A Ford Raptor is this Tonka kid's toy. It is so freaking huge, and its wheels. Like, I think the Raptor is part of the blame for the whole space and wheels out. I have this whole thing that I don't know. It'll end up in a video soon. I think the reason that, well, the practical reason why wheels are spaced out is that people get wider wheels so they can have wider tires, and then they realize that they can't go full lock anymore. They're rubbing in their wheel wells. So the only solution is to get rid of those wheels, which they're not going to do. So out come those spacer kits. So now they got these big things here so they can turn the stupid truck, and that's what you get. But I think like the Raptor, their wheels were poking from the factory. So I think that sort of started it. So I parked that thing. I'm not going to say the name of the street, but you know the name of the street. I was on that, and I was going to be that guy with the truck really poking out. So I just, well, it's a Raptor, it's huge. So I did the move where I'm like half on the sidewalk. Like, just so I'm like, okay, no one really walks on this sidewalk. I'll just park like that and pull the mirror in. How did I get on this topic? What were we talking about?
What were we talking about?
Trucks.
We did end up seeing a toy Raptor.
We did. Yeah.
It was Eli's. It was David who said, review my 4Runner. Right.
Oh, yeah.
4Runner. Wide vehicle. But it would solve the filming problem because it has an electric rear window that goes all the way down. I think next time we film, we're going to push to f-stop 8, because I looked at the footage that we shot recently and I still can't see the defroster lines. So we're going to bump it to f-stop 8.
It's just like pushing it down, but more
boost.
You can't take it.
Speaking of boost, Greg, did you see that Instagram video I sent you?
No, which was it?
Oh, okay. It was after I said that Tony was coming with the beat, and I said you drove the C8 that has 490 horsepower,
Yeah.
and like to you that was fast. That was a lot of power.
Yeah.
490 horsepower to me is okay power. That's good. You're getting there, but that's not big power.
Felt like big power. Felt like monster power.
It's big power in like, you know, like for my
for my taste, in my world, it certainly is.
For like a Windsor block in my Ford, that's big power for a Windsor block, and that's good power for like a Chevy 350. Chevy 350, you can go a little bit more, and then of course your big blocks, you know, just spend money and you can do what you want. But when it comes time to turbo LS, that's where you're getting crazy. And the video I sent you is Matt Happel, who I've got to get here. He's been working on his Chevy. What's Chevy's full ton, 1 ton truck? I forget.
3500 series.
35. It's a big truck. Or was it half? I have to go check. If we can pull up the video, maybe you can get because Jim here knows GM. Maybe he can guess it from the dash. It's like 2000s era. Well, Matt Happel. For those of you who don't know. For those of you who know the name, and if you don't know the name, he's a data tech. He does tuning for EFI Source Electronics in Boyertown, and he also experiments with LS engines. His current project is a Chevy truck running a GM. I forget which. I'll just say LSX. I don't know which version of it. It's a 6-liter, running a turbocharger from a Duramax, as well as a Duramax intercooler. I don't know if it's a full corn. What am I talking about? Corn fuel, ethanol. Yeah, I don't know what degree of ethanol it's running. Currently, it's about 850 horsepower, and that's his big power. And he has this video of him saying it's a little bit saucy in first gear, so I'm just going to go, 1/4 throttle, roll into it. And what he does is, this guy's a maniac. It's 0 to 120 in 13 seconds. So, and you see it, you see the speedometer go whoop, because he starts spinning at 50 and has to back off again, because of course it's a pickup and there's nothing in the bed. So I've got to get like one of his creations, like his big creation. He had a Colorado with also a 6-liter and some other turbochargers, but he needed nitrous to get the thing to 1,030 horsepower at the wheel. Now, he blew the engine up 3 times doing this, but he got it. He got it to 1,000. And now, the way he argues it is that it's safer to do this in a pickup truck because you're not going to break anything, because the rear end's so light, you're just going to spin if you get out of control. And as long as you're going straight, if you just back off of it, they're not going to try to spin around. Not really. I drove his truck when it was at 450 horsepower, and it would spin off the torque converter if you blipped it too much. Even though he was running a 3,000 RPM stall converter, I don't know what he was running now. I've got to bring this truck here because the man's like Yoda. And for those people wondering, he will not tune your car. What he will do, $100 buys you. Matt Happel, if you're listening, and I have this fact wrong, I don't know what the rate is. Last time I heard, it was $100 for a half hour of his time. He will put your car on the dyno. He will look at the numbers. He will look at the computer, and he will tell you what to do, but you're doing it. So that's where he is right now, because he's got a full-time job. He doesn't tune; he just tunes on the side. But he experiments on his own car, probably because he's part of the whole sloppy mechanics crew. So like, we're gonna get it to this power. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be reliable by my standards. Now these are also the same guys who. Well, actually, Matt wasn't part of this. It was Kramer and Corey who put the LS in the Winnebago.
I was just thinking about
it. It was the same group of guys.
Yeah.
A turbo LS in 1976 Winnebago Chieftain, making 550 horse, 550 torque.
Yeah. Because there's horsepower and then there's Winnebago LS horsepower.
They didn't do anything to the brakes or suspension. One of the wheels was kind of wobbly. Whatever. I didn't make the turn trying to pull in by Ken's tires to turn around. I didn't make it. I'm like on the brake with both feet, and it's like it's drums and stuff slowing down because the thing went like an unladen pickup truck. I'm passing people on 61, like, yeah, things whistling and fluttering and everything like that. And it's bizarre. Like you're going up the hill in your, I don't know what, your Civic Si, and here comes this brown turd just going, right by.
And it got better economy, didn't it?
Oh, it did better than the Mopar 440 than it had in it. That's a piece of crap engine.
How deliciously absurd.
Okay. Seth Huffman says, hi, guys. Big fan of the channel. Oh, excuse me. Airline question. Good. This will give me a chance. Anybody else need drinks while I'm going to the fridge?
Well, actually, I need to toss this.
Okay.
And then
Greg, you need some water?
No, I'm
okay.
good.
Feel free to grab that can for yourself if you want.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. So, question for Tony from Cameron. Different Cameron. Tony, if you did start an airline, I know where this is going to go, and I know the plane you're going to think of. I think I know the plane you're going to think of. Tony, if you start an airline called Tony's Airlines, what would the experience and service be like, and where would your hub cities be?
All right. My major was aviation management, which is basically managing aviation, managing an airline, airport, whatever. If I had to think about that practically in this day and age, I would never start an airline. But if things were okay, you could go two ways. One, create a regional that contracts out to major airlines, or two, create a startup airline that finds a niche market and just starts service somewhere. Like, I don't know, an island in the Caribbean that needs service. If I was to start an airline that was Tony Airlines, I would buy not my favorite plane, because that would be impractical. My favorite plane is the de Havilland -7, not the 8, the 7. I would have to do something economical, which is purchase a newer airplane and just fly that between cities that definitely have demand to fly from point A to point B. A lot of startups do this nowadays, and it works sometimes. Do you know an airline called Elite Airways?
No.
No? Okay. Elite Airways was previously a charter company. Now they have an actual Part 121 certificate, which means they can be an airline.
Mm-hmm.
They only have a handful of CRJs, which I fly. CRJ 200s and 700s. They fly from random seasonal airports, and they actually do really good. They find the niche market that people want to fly from. They do flights from Newark to, say, Melbourne, Florida, or Vero Beach, which has never had any commercial service. That would be something cool to, explore.
I would never start an airline.
Yeah. The joke in the aviation industry is, how do you make
$1 million in the airline business?
Yeah.
Is that you start with $2 million.
Yep. As we see now with planes being parked, people being furloughed, there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of great times where everyone's flying. There's a lot of horrible times where no one's flying. It seems like it happens every 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right.
But it's just the most random things. 9/11, 2008 financial crisis, this.
Yeah.
Huh? So it's not predictable at all, but,
Sorry for people listening. We have put more fans in this room. It's summer. Yeah, I'm so sorry for the fan noise you're hearing in the background.
Here, you want some nuts?
Please, I would like these comfortable nuts.
So while Tony opens this, we have a beer from, let me make sure I have this in the camera. We have a beer from Cameron.
Sorry.
So straight from Australia. He says, drink this, return to a bogan.
What is that?
And this is Victory VB Bitter.
Victoria Bitter.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of 1984 here.
Yeah, that's all right.
Dismayed by the quality of beer in the colony in 1854, Thomas Atkin
I don't know.
set out to brew the beer made for the Australian conditions, best served ice cold for a hard-earned thirst. Here we go.
Now, if you want to really impress the Australians, just before you drink it, say, matter of fact, I got one now. Because that's from the ad.
Matter of fact, I got one now. So it's a bunch of people talking, and then it's like, yeah.
For when you're stuck in the bush dimension trying to get to Bendigo.
Bendigo to get me cube.
Me green cube.
I got to say, this one's for Big Les. And, well, I can't call him what everybody calls him because that word means a different thing here. A sick guy. A sick crew guy.
This guy are sick.
I like it.
It's good
You know what?
stuff.
It tastes a little bit like Heineken. Yeah, a little bit like Heineken, kind of buttery.
Butter.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
Mother's
but-
milk.
is it? What did they have? What was like the Kiwi Bogan version? It was like Tui something.
Oh, Tui. Yeah, Tui's brand. Yeah.
Yeah. I had that. It was like, it was like a general purpose beer.
Yeah.
I guess the one thing that I noticed in New Zealand, I don't know if it got to Australia last time you've been back, but the USA has this arms race going on with hops right now, where it's just how much can you get in there? I don't want you to have fun drinking anymore. I know people have heard this line, but I haven't come up with a better one yet. Like with craft beer, it's like someone decided, I want my beer to taste like a lawnmower's catch bag. That. I just want, I just want weeds and dandelions. And I don't want the flour. I just want everything else.
Unfiltered trogs with the stuff.
Oh, that
in
is
it.
so good, though. I don't know what it is. I like the pain that trogs bring sometimes. Hopback is another good one. How's the field study? Or did you already?
Delicious.
Yeah.
I love IPAs and I love hazy IPAs as well.
Yeah.
And I'm having both right now, but
I didn't know you were done. I just brought you another one.
Oh,
Double fist.
I am down with it. It's delicious. I can't get trogs in New Jersey unless I go.
Can you?
Well, it's very rare. You would have to go to I don't know, a Wegmans that's like very big and good. But even then, you won't find this, the variety pack. You might find a single trogs thing.
Really?
Maybe.
Huh.
Because that's just where I am in New Jersey.
That's weird.
Middle of nowhere.
No.
Good stuff.
Seth Huffman, thank you for your donation. Hi guys, big fan of the channel. You guys got me into cars. I have a 1942 Dodge truck and a 2003 Chevy truck. I'm looking at two cars. Okay, so we have a two-car question. I have a 1991 Honda. I'm looking at two cars: a 91 Honda Prelude, or an 86 Nissan 300ZX. Both manual. Thoughts on them? I initially will always go to Honda over Nissan, unless we're talking about Skylines. I go to Honda because your knowledge base and your community is going to be larger, especially for Preludes. Now I don't know if 91's. Wait, 91 is 4th gen, right? Am I the only one?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I know. We can go. I'm guessing 91 is going to be 4th gen, which is my favorite one. You don't have to deal with that stupid rear wheel steering that Honda did with the Preludes in the 80s. You know about that one, Greg? Or
No,
Greg and Jim? Nope.
I heard of it. Yeah.
You've heard of it? Yeah.
What was it?
It's mechanical rear wheel steering, which is based on the angle of the steer. Rack and pinion, not really, but angle of your steer, the rear ends will kick out. We did a video of one. It's all the time. Yeah, it's all the time, including highway speeds. The rear wheels on the highway speeds, the rear wheels will steer in the same direction at the front wheels, and at the other opposite end of the steering lock, they will go in the opposite direction.
Weird.
It feels like from your perspective, it feels like your steering ratio is changing. Like it's faster at low RPM, and honestly, even slower at highway speeds. Because if the rear wheels are helping you change lanes, it's very little. Now, little by terms of 80s, like you get in some like some of these Mercedes, like with their adaptive steering. And then what I think Mercedes is doing, you can correct me on this, is that they have a very, very aggressive steering box, but they just adjust the boost or electric boost accordingly. So they're helping you a ton at low speeds, and at highway speeds they just back off and like, wow, it's really tight. Well, it was always that. Just we're not helping you anymore. Is that a BMW thing too?
That adaptive power steering kind of thing. I think that's been a thing they've been having on and off for quite a while, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does your 5 Series have it?
Just no.
No. Okay.
No. It's just relatively heavy, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's my answer. Go with the Honda over the Nissan 300ZX. Partly because you're going to have more room also to work, because that's going to be a 4-banger versus the 300ZX is that weird V6, a very good V6, but it's packaged. It's like hops and American IPAs or like West Coast IPAs. They're just cramming that engine in there. Easier going to be work on. Ian's Variety Channel. Someone wants to give me a beer recommendation. Delirium Tantrums.
Ooh.
Do you know about anybody? No.
Is that from Belgium?
Sounds like a job for Untapped.
Yeah. Hard to find, but well worth it if you can. Oh, and Ian has an aircraft question. And this is a Greg question because he can attest to both of these things.
Oh.
Would you rather own a kit plane or a manufactured plane? And from someone who owns both.
That's right. So I would say, why not one of each? There's no limit to how many airplanes you can own.
Well, let's assume Ian is shopping for his first plane.
It really depends on what you want to haul. Just like a car.
It always depends on the mission.
Yeah, the mission.
Okay, general aviation. We got to give him some kind of answer.
Well, if this is his first airplane,
let's assume so.
Yeah. I would just stick to a typical certified airplane.
Yeah.
There's still a lot to learn. There's always surprises. Owning your first airplane is not like owning your first car.
No.
There's just the learning curve is steeper, and you're not sure what you're going to get into yet. Hopefully, he's not suggesting building his first airplane from kit.
Which you can legally do.
Which you can do. I mean,
not that it's recommended.
I have a certified Piper Archer and experimental Fisher Dakota Hawk that I did not build. I bought it already built, and then it needs to be inspected every year. Just both of them need to be inspected. Essentially, it's the same inspection, but since I did not build my experimental, it'll need to be inspected. So it depends on the mission. I guess it goes back to that. I wouldn't shy away from owning an experimental as my first airplane, I suppose. My Fisher Dakota Hawk is very economical little airplane to fly around circles in for 20, 30 minutes at the end of the day. And there's about 10 years ago, I would have said the opposite. My views on that in the last 10 years have dramatically changed. That first 10 years ago, I was like, oh, why would you want to fly something that somebody else built out of a kit? And it's crazy to think about. But by today's standards, they're amazing how well they're built.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go an experimental or certified, you have to get a pre-buy. And you don't want to buy a basket case, whatever you're going to buy. It's not like buying a car where things can just easily be fixed. So whatever you do go look at for your first airplane, just make sure you get a pre-buy done by a certified mechanic.
Unlike cars, yes, you can just go out to someone and say, here's money, give me this plane. But with an airplane, you're talking about a lot of moving parts in a little amount of space that keep you essentially alive. But with airplanes, a lot of people, and the smart ones, will hire a mechanic to come with them to see the airplane.
Okay.
The mechanic will do an entire inspection, every little crevice, moving part, whatever, of that airplane that they want to buy. And the mechanic will say, okay, here's what's wrong, here's what's great, here's what's terrible, here's what you have to fix. And then you, as the buyer, make a decision accordingly. So
I've been scrolling down for the entire time Greg was talking, and I haven't got back to where we are. So we've been talking for about an hour, and I realize that to answer all these questions, I'm going to be here for another 2 hours. So if people have things to do, places to be, these are why I have a job. So I will be answering every single one of these questions. But if people need to do something or go to the bathroom or have dinner, I will not be sad if you got up from this table. But people really like this show, especially that we have a lot of different people here and hanging out. I am still not to the bottom of these questions.
Maybe you should put the sign up already.
Yeah.
one more thing
Yeah,
to
we need
the
a
back.
sign. Yeah.
One more thing to the home build versus certified question. You can really find just regular certified, a Cessna 150,
Yeah.
the Chevy Cavalier of the sky.
Not a
You can
172.
The Cessna 172 would be a more expensive Chevy.
Okay, I only said that because I do have experience because we went to that air show once and we saw the Kutztown Air School 150, and I remember my dad took me up in that, and we were flying along 78, and with a headwind, and people on 78 was going faster than us.
Yep. The thing about the Cessna 150 is those are pushing 50 years old now, which means the people that bought them new or secondhand are now either lost their medical, retiring, or dead. Which means these planes are really, really cheap on the market because
Cheap being in the 20s.
Yeah.
Still.
which is for you get to own an airplane, $20,000. That's really good if you're not hauling much.
Yeah, as in you and I.
You and I, and hopefully you and I are slightly skinnier people.
And I hope we know each other well, too, because we'll still be jammed up against each other.
Yep. When I was in community college, I learned in a 152, which is the 150's later older brother.
Bigger engine?
Still a 2-seat.
110 horsepower versus 100 horsepower.
It was the Lycoming engine.
Yeah, Lycoming 0235.
Our school had a few. We had 2 standard versions, and then we had 1 long range version, which is just like a 12-gallon, 10-gallon larger tank.
Why would you be in a 152 for any longer than you need?
You could fly for 3 hours instead of 2 hours.
No, that would be not good.
Now, granted, I love the 152; it's great, but oh man, those 152s they commend like
they do. They're probably in the 30s.
They hold their value. They're $30,000, which is for a 2-seat plane.
No, it's like a Harley Davidson.
You save $10,000.
Got a Harley Davidson of an '89. Some jackass wants $8,000 for it.
So if you're looking for an
Sorry for swearing.
plane, if you're looking for an economical plane to own, it's probably going to be a Cessna 150 because that is the best bang for your buck. If you're just you and maybe someone else farting around the skies.
That's the thing.
That's the sound the plane makes.
I call it the fart cart. That was our nickname for the
fart cart.
The fart cart.
It's a shame in aviation, money just doesn't go far.
No.
In terms of, you could, with say $100,000 budget, boy, you could get a lot in the automotive world for $100,000.
Yeah.
Oh
and you could roll through your town, and everybody would nod and go, "That is awesome."
Yeah.
But for $100,000 in the airplane world, probably 3/5 of the people that saw your $100,000 airplane would go, "Oh my gosh, no, that's 50 years old. Oh my goodness, oh that looks awful."
Here's what you get for $100,000 in the aviation world. You get you either get a 1990s or late 1980s Cessna 172 that's been slightly updated.
Mhm.
As far as low-ends, you could get a Piper Archer or a Piper Arrow, which you can raise the gear. Whoa, 10 knots right there. Or you get maybe, I want to say some sort of Warbird.
Oh.
The Piper Cub is too cheap to be
Stearman, or is that like really expensive?
Yeah, the Boeing Stearman. And then you can say, oh yeah, I fly a Boeing. And here you are with this biplane, which granted, I would freaking love to.
Bruce and a
Boeing
Bruce or
Stearman.
Buffalo, or those don't exist anymore.
Brewster, no.
Right.
An
I don't think there's
affordable
any
warplane would be Yak 52 with the M14P
Yak
engine.
52.
You'd sound like a T6. You sound like the world is coming to an end, but you're in an affordable Warbird. There.
Is a Yak a radial?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's funny because there's a lot of Warbird airplanes that coexist with a lot of winged-dinga cars. Like, I don't know, that plane would probably be the DeVille. The Cadillac DeVille that costs like an insane amount of money.
Hmm.
Can you still buy the Stuka dive bomber sirens? Because I reckon that'd be fun on any plane.
Good luck finding one. Good luck finding one, importing one, and strapping into your plane.
That should be the accessory of choice.
Someone said, what's the BMW of airplanes?
In terms of luxury and high and
Cirrus?
either that or anything beach.
I would say Cirrus because people crash Cirrus. People crash Cirrus a lot as they crash BMWs.
I would say beach.
What was that-
I
what was
would
that-
say A36
Oh
Beechcraft.
yeah, the Bonanza.
Yeah.
What was that meme you posted on Facebook about the R22? Like some guy thinks he needs it or something like that.
The SR22, you mean?
Was that you?
I
I don't know. It's like you and Greg, and there's some other person
Now I gotta think back.
likes airplane memes, or is like aeronautical boomer posting or something like
Oh
that.
yes, I actually started that page.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Nice.
because I'm under 30, and my union says that I am only about 8% of pilots under 30 in the entire U.S. That being said, there's a lot of pilots that are over 50, which is great because I'm part of their Facebook groups, which is great because it's essentially like the Facebook group, a car club where everyone acts like boomers. But now, fast forward it to aviation terms, and now it's an aviation club where everyone acts like boomers, which is hilarious.
So you all pretend you're over 50 and you have a C5 Corvette. And the only mods you did was put those louvers on the taillights.
Yeah. Yep. And make bad decisions and get too old to fly, but fly anyway, and all that stuff.
Like Harris. Do you have an opinion on Harrison Ford, like flying around doing his thing?
Harrison Ford, like
someone's phone going off?
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
He's a pilot. Yes. He has an amazing collection. Yes. And he has all the proper licenses. But you approach an age, just like in cars, where your dexterity starts to drop. In a car, yes, this is evident. But in an airplane, where you have so many things happening at once, this is doubled. To where you need that cognitive focus on what you're doing at that one time to be 100%, hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe close to 100%.
And I guess it can get very, like, in the middle of the flight.
Yeah.
It's just, it's fine.
I'm not saying
suddenly it ramps up when you got to land. Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a terrible guy. It's just that's what happens when you get old. Everyone experiences like kind of arthritis, I guess. You can't sit in that low bucket seat car anymore.
You know, that's why my mom got rid of that Mercedes and why she didn't buy the MG. She got rid of the Mercedes and got herself a turbo, the last turbo Beetle that they sold, and she loves it. The top goes down, it's electric.
Nice.
She puts it in drive, and off she goes. Well, her yoga class is closed, but she can still go to high source. Thank you for bearing with me with these questions.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
What is your
Chat.
pick for a slow-looking car that is actually really fast? Okay, I've driven a Volkswagen Touareg V10 once, or V10 TDI once, and it was like a spaceship. Okay, slow-looking car that is actually really fast. Depends what fast you mean. You can have fast eventually, like a car that just builds and builds, like Cameron's
like
8 Series.
850, yeah.
Now, granted, it's 90s cool with the pop-up headlights. But the gearing is so long on that thing.
It just goes.
Yeah. or excuse me, I said V10, V12.
V12, yeah.
V12.
Yeah.
So it's electronically limited at 155, or is there no limiter? Oh, it was. So on a closed road in Mexico, it can go.
Well, possibly sort of 170.
170? Okay. Maybe. I think, okay, let's talk about really, really fast. I mentioned it before, the Corvette C6 Z06. Did that one hit 200? Am I thinking the right one?
What about the Porsche Cayenne?
Cayenne? Well, that's a fast SUV. Yeah, it's fast-ish.
Doesn't.
Well, you're right. It's Porsche,
it has the
though.
Porsche look.
But I get what you're saying. Of course, that's by the same token, like Corvette, like the lay person thinks, oh, Corvettes are fast. Well, some are very fast, and most can move pretty good. Your average person thinks a Chevy SS is a Malibu, and they don't realize that's an LS2 in there.
Sleeper. Yeah.
I still like that car. I love that thing. And in the low end of things that are very fast, we've talked about it before, the Honda Accord 6MT V6. That's 273 horsepower and an Accord with a 6-speed manual. Fun. And it's an Accord, Other fast things, there was the Chevy Impala SS that they made, I think, in the 90s, that I think has the same LT as the, I'm looking at Jim to make sure. Yep. There was one parked down by the factories. I forget, street parked. And I'm like, that's kind of neat.
Police cars had that same package from back in that day.
Yeah.
Dual exhaust and all that stuff, big sway bars.
Sorry that he doesn't have a mic for those who didn't hear. He was saying that, yes, it was a lot of the police package stuff from the Caprices went into that. By the same token, you have the Marauder, but the Marauder prices are nuts. There's that one guy out there by the Cressona Mall who has a Marauder, and it hasn't moved in a few years. He probably isn't budging on the price of that thing. Other fast things, there was the Chevy Trailblazer SS, that SUV that also has an LS engine in it. That's quick. I don't want to just go on and on about LS engines, but gosh darn it, you put one thing in that, it's the game genie of engines. It just cheats.
What about the Century V12? Is that?
That is in the same sense as Cameron's. Like, that thing will keep going. That's the Toyota V12.
Yeah.
That we never got.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, that's it. It's just a 4-speed automatic, but fourth gear goes from like 60 miles an hour to what, 120 or something like that before it gears out. Or I think it doesn't. I don't think that engine gears out. I think it just hits the air wall. It just can't go any farther. Good question. Thank you. Phil McWonder. Question for everyone. I'm sorry, we don't have the question go to everyone, but okay. What is the best car you've driven, in your personal opinion? See, that's a weird question for car people, because there is no best. There's best categories.
Yeah, comfiest, fastest.
Yeah, and then even fastest has different. There's
plywood.
Yeah.
What mood you're in even affects it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best car. It's. What's the best car you've? I don't know.
You know what the comfiest
Most economical.
was? The Lincoln we rented in Austin.
That was neat. The Lincoln, cheap Lincoln SUV. It was good at. Hey, the air conditioner worked in Texas heat in the summertime.
Cooled seats.
Cooled seats. Like cooled seats. Yeah.
Well, I can say that one of the reasons I got the E39 540 was I hadn't ever owned one, and a lot of places say, "Oh, it's one of the best cars ever."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I want to see what it's like, and I didn't want to get the M5, so I got the 540, and I like it.
Yeah.
But would I put it on one of the best cars ever? I wouldn't put it on my list.
No.
It's a great car, but like it didn't live up to me. It didn't live up to what.
Right.
Yeah.
Because best has to like change your life. It has to change the way you think about things. In that sense, it's not the best. There are memorable moments is probably a more thing. Like the Model S, the Tesla Model S, that changes the way you think about what acceleration is. It scares you. It doesn't seem real. So that's up there. And then there's cars that just delight you in every sense. The E30, the BMW E30. It's not fast. It doesn't it handles good for its age, but it's like your wife brought me cookies. They were amazing. It's like a very
thank you.
It's like biting into a fresh cookie. It's like everything just melts together. It's beautiful. That's the E30. Everything is in tune with each other. No part of the car is trying to outperform anything else.
And I guess you could also have, say, somehow the best performing car, and it's ugly. And to me, that wouldn't make it the best car.
No, yeah. Yeah, looks matter.
Yeah.
Ugliness, it's like the like some people love the Mustang Mach 1, the first one from the 70s. I think that thing's ugly. That like, oh, it's got the long nose and the short back. It's like it looks like it was made with two rulers. They just slammed together and then cut half of one off.
Tony, what was that flying car? The Terrafuga?
The Terrafugia Transition.
There we go.
Oh,
there we
man.
go. Yeah.
Have I been following that thing since 2008?
Have you really? It started as like an MIT project, I believe, and then they sold the rights, and it tried to start into a real company. But where did it end up? Is that
so? For those of you that don't know, the Terrafugia Transition is they touted it as the first flying car that actually
practical,
is
the modern
practical.
ages.
Do you have to assemble it to fly?
No.
Okay.
It's not like that one from the 1950s.
Okay.
That one you did. This one you don't.
Well, actually, I think it's not an experimental, probably what Brian's thinking of. And the one of the 50s, like
he's thinking of the one that your tail was the trailer.
Yeah, that's right. You kind of
the Terrafugia Transition is a great step in innovation because it shows what a car plane can be if it's put enough money into the program. It's been in development since 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Probably before. I saw it. I saw the prototype at Oshkosh in 2009.
Yeah, I saw it fly in Oshkosh as well. I forget what year
flew in
that
Oshkosh in a much later date because that was after the proof of concept. There was the proof of concept, the prototype, and then the actual like production model. Plane, car, I don't know. But it flew, and they proved that it could be done. And yes, for a very large sum of $200,000, how much was it?
Like that. And it had all the same like bumpers and had to meet crash standards, which was terribly difficult to do for an airplane.
Like you have to have two insurance policies.
Now here's the problem that Terrafugia faces. You're paying $200,000 for a really bad car and a really bad plane.
But I can do the same.
But you can do two at the same time. Oh my God. You're paying $200,000 for a car that can go just about highway speeds with
55
CVT 80 horsepower engine,
Oh,
and
boy.
you're paying $200,000 also for a plane that can maybe go 100 knots if you're lucky and the tailwinds grace you.
Does the same engine that drives the wheels drive the prop?
No,
Oh,
different
boy.
engines. You have a CVT engine, and you have
So in both
A
cases,
Rotax
you're dragging an engine
Wow.
block that isn't doing it.
Yeah.
That isn't, oh.
Yep. So it weighs a lot, yes, but it's. I want to consider it the very. Essentially, it's the very first practical flying car.
Okay.
In the sense that
Wait, if you don't have to assemble it, where do the wings go when you
they
drive?
fold up.
Oh, okay.
It's literally push button, receive wing,
Okay.
or retract.
Yeah.
Depends
What
on
about the
you're doing.
tail? Same deal?
Yeah.
Tail just stays there.
Ew.
It's a
I don't have a picture in front of me, but I'll take your word
it's a
for it.
four-wheeled aircraft, essentially, which is terrible to land because the second your rear wheels touch down, you have nothing supporting the front wheels except the little canard that placed on the nose. So your nose just slams. But it's still innovative for what they're trying to do.
Huh.
It's awesome seeing a little MIT project go to, holy crap, we just built a flying car.
Nice.
And they, like, the best thing is they have a picture on their website of it parked at like a Hess gas station.
Yeah.
It's just like regular cars in the back, and then you see this thing, a flying car with a folded wings, and this guy's just pumping regular gas into it.
Do both engines use MoGas as you?
They could.
Yeah.
It's a Rotax engine.
So they can burn mode gas.
Yeah.
Which Rotax can do that. And I suppose the other car engine could too.
There's so
For those
many
people who don't
questions.
know, most airplanes run on 100 octane leaded gas.
We like lead.
That's right, the old fashioned way.
Drink out of garden hoses too. Yeah, our walls are painted with lead. What of it?
It's a nice after dinner snack. Chew on the windshield and the windows.
It's still better than huffing jet fuel, I can tell you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I got to do something about that. I just realized at this table. Oh no, wait! It doesn't transfer. It just if I hit it with my knee.
Where was I going with the flying car?
That was the best car.
The best car does both. Yeah.
True.
If it's okay, we'll move on to Jimbo Burrito. Thank you for your generous donation. Hey guys, fan of the channel since 2015. Your most recent video on the Yaris made me go out and actually buy one. Hey, you bought a pretty good car.
Nice. There you go.
Took it to Tennessee and back to Michigan with no problems. Hey, it's a Toyota. That's what it does. Best purchase of my life. Great. Great question too, and that it doesn't exist. Thank you. Enjoy your Yaris. You can literally drive that thing into the ground. I crashed my Echo, which is the same car. Crashed it twice, and it. You know, a radiator was hanging out after the end of it. That's a whole other story. Most people know it. And then, hey, it still ran. They were little tough little machines. Good choice. Steve Greer doesn't have a question. He just says, love the podcast. Hi, Tony. Do you know a Steve Greer?
Hi, Steve. Yes, I do.
Hello, Steve. Wreck wouldn't be a podcast without you. Hey, yo, need two bike suggestions. Okay, so this will be me and a Cameron question. Most recommended dirt bike along the lines of a DRZ in style. Okay, that would be my suggestion, the DRZ 400. And best bike to get into track riding. Well, I have no experience with that. I have a Ninja ZX6R, but I get the feeling that's a bad place to start. Yeah, you don't start on a 600. We had a whole thing about that. You don't start on a freaking Ninja 600. You know, I have a friend of mine who's now an officer down in Maryland, and he started, his first bike was a 600 sport bike. No, because they're very good, and they fool you into thinking you're better than you are. And what happened is he tried to make a turn that he didn't have. The bike could probably have made the turn, but he didn't have the skill to make that turn.
Yeah.
And so maybe he got target fixation. Maybe he didn't know ahead of time that around in PA, a lot of these hairpin turns have gravel on them, where trucks and big vehicles go and kick gravel up onto the road. You lean into that on a bike, whoop, you went down. I think what happened is he may have got target fixation. and just went into the guardrail on the opposite side and just went over. He went. He's fine. You know, he finished. He went through the police academy and everything. Stay safe out there, Alex. Yeah. Dude, there is a guy, and this is going to half answer a question that come up. Say someone do a Honda Rebel. There's a guy in New York who bought one of the last original Honda Rebels that still uses the 233 Twin Star engine. And I'm like, that is where you start. I don't want to run a Rebel. I'm not a wuss.
These are awesome.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
Awesome.
Learn on a bike that's like you were talking about the Cessna 1 and Cessna 150. Start on a machine that's built to teach you.
Exactly. Yeah. You can take it to full lean. You can take it to the full braking. You can take it to the full acceleration, and that's where you learn. And it's fun. Yeah. Yeah. It's like answer to a dirt bike. The all that came to my mind was anything that runs.
Yeah. Like some two-stroke Yamaha, like a dirt bike. Great. Is the handle bent? Well, that's what a vice grip and a rubber hammer is for. Just bang it back into place. It's a dirt bike. Does the radiator hold water? Yep. All right. Does it not? I don't know. Pee in it. Yeah. Good. You can't do that with street bikes, but. Yeah, the answer is start on a 250. I'm gonna get bored. You're not gonna get bored. Yeah. You have no idea. Like when I started, my first bike was a 250. It was the Honda CM250C, the predecessor to the Rebel / Nighthawk. And I remember the first time I took that on a highway, I must have been going 55, and I thought I was doing 100 miles an hour. Yeah. It's like this is a speed up because it's all the sensations hitting you. So yeah, start on a 250. Good question. I'm going to skip the one where the guy was claiming we were pre-recording this. That's where I am on these questions.
Nice.
Boris T.S. Karloff, thank you for your donation. Familiar face. I was just listening to your last podcast when I noticed this. I'm short. I'm just here to touch base. Thank you very much, Boris. Phil McWonder, generous donation there. Thank you. I have mentioned my RX-8 on here before. Great news. Good news. Compression test came back with flying colors and after replacing the throttle body, and it's not throwing a code. I'll be darned. Bad news. The car is still dying when I put it into drive. Oh, so this guy has a rotary with an automatic. I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, rotaries. Rotaries are weirder than like Mopar people. It's just, you have an engine that existed for a short time and very small, and it's niche. I'd honestly rather own a DeLorean than a rotary car. Because a DeLorean, it's like, yeah, I have a French-Swedish engine, but at least that engine existed. You know, like rotaries, it's just, I mean, you have a knowledge base. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you for keeping RX-8s on the road. The last real rotary that existed. Every now and again, they say Mazda's going to do a rotary again. I mean, maybe they'll do it. If they do it, I don't know. I'll try to do a handstand or something like that. Does anybody else? Anybody else here own a rotary ever? No.
Owning a rotary in today's automotive world it seems like the equivalent of owning a radial engine aircraft in the year 2020, where it's
nostalgia.
Yeah, it's purely nostalgia, or I don't have the money to change the engine to a say turboprop, and it's just incredibly expensive. Maintenance is up there.
I agree. I think if you got to know before you go in. If you're willing to put up with it, great.
Yeah. Like, it's like, hey, my friend Justin Kramer, shout out to Justin Kramer in Catasauqua Auto Repair. He had this one meme he put on his, I think it was one of like his or his friend's cars, but he had this car at the shop, and he said, how do you repair a Subaru? And he just took money from the register and just threw it at the open engine. How do you repair a rotary? Boom. Throw money at it. Bob just said, Bob with SEK. Hello, Regular and Roman. I'm late to the party. Who are your buddies and what do they drive? Okay, so in the corner, well, we got Tony Airlines going up. You probably know him. He has a Honda Beat. We have new to the podcast, Cameron. You saw a number of his cars on the show. You saw his Pontiac Aztec. You saw his BMW 850, and just recently his turbo Honda, the Honda CX650, who I told him at the very end of the review, if you ever think about selling that motorcycle, let me know.
Yeah, you have first dibs on it. Don't worry.
Thank you. Although there's a guy on my in my email that may bump that off because a guy did a safari build on a NB Miata. Yeah, and there's a guy somewhere in Easton. He says it's really slow. I don't know what he's using for a suspension. Picture a Miata with Mickey Thompson's on it. And it's like and it's sticking out. Yeah, that. It's like I want to take that on the trail that goes up there by Portland. Was that Weiser? But he says it's really, really slow. Yeah. Also, we've got Greg. And are you okay? How are you on Greg?
Yeah, sure.
Greg International.
Yeah, that's fine.
You'll see him again a few times. Maybe, I don't know. We'll review the airplane. Else? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we have yet to talk about the plane that's going to break me. That you warned me about. Greg has a number of different cars.
You did one so far.
We did one so far.
We got 9 more to go, 8 more to go there.
Oh my goodness.
And 2 airplanes and a motorcycle.
Nice. So you saw Greg when we did the his was the counterpoint to the $60,000 Acura Integra. Yours was the Integra
Everyday driver and daily Integra.
Original owner.
That's right.
Picked his girlfriend, now wife, up to the prom in it.
220,000 miles later. And lots of Pennsylvania rust as well, unfortunately.
Yeah. So he is also a pilot. And so they're here to answer aeronautical question, of which there still are a few more. So, and off screen, we've got Jim, who knows GM stuff, chimes in from now and again. Sorry we don't have a mic, but I'll pritz it over. He's here for the very first podcast. Just kind of showed up. I said, hey, come on over. I told his wife, hey, Tony has a crazy car here, but we just happen to be in the middle of the live stream here. So thanks for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. Also owns 2 Camaros, which we talked about in the beginning of the show, and maybe have a few, and also
S10 pickup, 2002 4x4 S10.
2002 S10 pickup. That's the ZR2, which now we had this term that I'm trying to get coined, and it's coming up in a future video called nostalgia for the early 2000s, because as the 90s cars get more and more expensive, eventually people will move on to the 2000s and see value. So that red pickup truck, yeah, good move holding on to that. Hold on to that for a few more years.
Because the trucks are so expensive.
Oh, they are. I have this whole rant. You heard half of that when we were talking at your garage. Yeah. How you just can't find. I just want a simple single cab, 2-wheel drive. I want nothing, and I want to pay a reasonable price for it, and they just don't exist. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. That's where I thought about, when my engine blew up in my 77 truck.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what do I do here? Do I replace the engine? And so I went shopping, used truck shopping, and there's just not much out there that you can get for a reasonable amount of money.
Yeah.
And my 77 truck just kind of fit the bill so well. It's like, all right, I'll put the money into it and get another 350.
77 square body C10. That's a winning lottery ticket. No matter what condition it's in, it's a C10 now. And now you got a working engine.
Yeah, that's right.
And
so
now
it'll do me good for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And maybe my 10-year-old daughter will drive it then in the future.
Probably. Put an LS in it. Only if you say please, with €2. Thank you very much. Hello, any plans for RCR Europe, however long-term? Well, it's going to be long-term.
Yeah.
What with the Rona and everything. Tony, you said Sweden.
Yeah, good luck getting into any country that is part of the European Union right now.
Yeah, we're banned.
Yep.
Oh, well.
Switzerland, maybe. Ireland.
Our plan was Germany 2020. Our original plan was RCR Australia 2021, RCR Japan 2022, RCR Germany 2023. But who knows now? I mean, I want to go. I want to go to the hollow ground. I want to drive the Autobahn. I've never done that. Anybody else Autobahn?
Yeah,
no.
You have?
Please.
Greg has?
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah,
How was your experience?
I think I was doing 110, and I was in the slow lane with like the trucks. It's all about the construction of the highway.
That really reflects.
It's not about the car.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was driving a Ford rented Ford Focus wagon or something like that, and
Jeez, that's the end of its life, going 110.
That's Germany in general. Is you're going 110 on the Autobahns.
Yeah,
There's more than one.
now we're talking miles per hour, not kilometers.
that's correct.
Yeah. You're on 110 and people are still coming up at you.
Well,
Oh.
my wife didn't realize how fast I was going because there was no inner mile per hour ban on my rental car. So all she saw was kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
So she
Okay.
had no idea how fast I was going. I had an idea because I did the math in my head, but she never really completed that math in her head. And she didn't realize we were traveling at 100 miles per hour for the majority of the vacation until on the flight back, I said, "Hon, do you know how fast we were going typically?" She was like, "No way, we weren't going that fast." Yes, we were going 100 on average.
As far as European countries go, Germany was one of my top favorite ones.
Yeah.
I've been to the grounds of Audi. They have their museum there, and I've also been to the BMW
I
factory.
went to the BMW one.
Or
BMW World, they call it.
Yes, yeah.
Like Disney.
Yes, yeah. Audi does something similar. They try to make it like a themed attraction park and experience. That's what it is. It's
So
an
weird.
experience.
Here,
When-
a cloudy-shaped popsicle.
When I visited Germany last year, I rented an Audi A4 wagon because if you've never been to Europe, wagons in Europe are like crossovers here.
Okay.
They're like 100% abundant. Everyone has wagons for some reason.
They
I don't
love
know why.
wagons.
They do.
They're
They're small
there,
and they hold a lot.
and that's their version of the SUV in Europe.
But I had an Audi A4 wagon, which, yeah, you think of wagon slow. No, not with the Audi. It was a choice between that and a Volvo, and the person at Avis strongly suggested I take the Audi. So I was like, okay. And holy cow, does that thing go fast on me? Because you need that, especially for the highways there, where there are no speed limits.
I was in Bologna this past September, where right outside is the home of Ferrari and Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I tried to get tours, and you got Ducati right there in town too.
Oh,
but I'm not
cool.
a motorcycle person, but I couldn't. The tickets were unavailable for both Ferrari and Lamborghini that day that I was there. But there's a whole lot of stuff you can do in Europe.
I did
All
go.
sorts of neat factory tours.
Yeah.
I want to go skiing and my mic's down. That's not me.
Dang.
Testing. There we go. I want to go skiing in Austria so bad.
The
I
views
saw
there.
some of that. That's amazing. And also Fred's partner lives out there, so technically a place to stay. I don't know. Maybe.
I did go into BMW World when I was there on the tour, and it's exactly like you think. It's like a theme park, but BMW themed.
Yeah.
And can you sit in any of the cool cars? No.
Oh.
Only look, but don't touch all the i8s and all that stuff.
What struck me funny on the factory tour was the factory tour guides wore white jackets, I believe, like doctor coats.
Ah.
Yeah. Yep.
They would-
Being in BMW World was weird because it felt a lot like New York Auto Show, where everyone is the people giving off the product are trying to convey that this is the best, most expensive thing. They dress accordingly, all that stuff.
Really?
They give you anything you want. Like they had mini golf for some reason there.
Huh.
It was
All right.
weird, but it also did cater to people who did want to buy BMWs there at the spot because you can do that there.
Oh, okay.
And it was bizarre. Cool place to visit.
Take a European delivery, drive it around, ship it home.
I was
right
just
there.
thinking about that. I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I had a friend who did that with an
Yeah.
A4.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Well, we did a car recently where a guy took delivery and it was the whole thing that he kept the plate on and put the or was it a guy with a jersey plate? So he had a front plate
Sure.
And then he put the American plate over top of the other one, and that's a whole thing to say that you got European delivery.
Yep.
Of course, in PA, you just keep it on. So that's a little bit, I think, that bleeds into the whole PA dubber culture. So if you got a BMW and you paid the money to have it over, you still have your Euro plate.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah.
But you have your PA plate in the back. Well, then the guys with the PA dubbers who, you know, I have a whole bit in the future video where I really rag on the PA dubber culture because it's so pervasive. But they got to get the fake Euro plate and put it on the front, like pretend they've been to Europe, but they've never been on an airplane. You know?
That's what people do for the imports, is they put fake Japanese plates on it and customize it and stuff. But in Jersey, you have to have front plates, so it's perfect. I already have them out.
The thing with BMW and me is that in Australia, they're just so expensive.
Are they?
They're very expensive.
Oh.
And I came over here and I started looking at cars. I'm like, really? They're that priced?
Yeah.
And that's sort of what got me in them, because I just wouldn't have been interested just through cost.
I remember when I was down in New Zealand, they just they didn't refer to it as a BMW. They just casually said that's a Euro car.
Yeah.
Like they're all like kind of the same, and it was just the guys from automation were the only guys who know who had them, who worked for that video game company. Everybody else was driving either Japanese. Well, they were all driving Japanese cars, honestly.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's like over there at the moment, because the scene's changed a bit with Holden's demise and all that since I've been here. So maybe things have changed a bit, but when all the time growing up, you get like the really old cheap BMWs as kind of beta cars.
Okay.
But to get a BMW was really like a pricey proposition.
I see.
Yeah. So yeah, well, simply that is that all it is? You know, seemingly. Yeah. Just like, oh, I'll have one.
What was your neighborhood filled with then? Do you remember?
Toyotas, Nissans, Commodores, Falcons. Yeah. And it kind of changed a bit over time, because I mean, even Toyota sold a thing called a Lexan, which was a rebadged Commodore, and they sold them alongside Commodore.
Oh, it was like how Toyota had that weird thing that there is a Toyota Cavalier. Yeah, that exists.
Yeah.
You ever hear this, Jim? Oh boy. This is like the Toyota had a deal with GM to bring the Cavalier to Japan and put a Toyota badge on. I saw one in my life, and it was in Queenstown, New Zealand. And I thought, no freaking way, I heard of this. Some weird deal that they brought it over. What did they change? Nothing.
Nothing, just a badge name.
They didn't even move the steering wheel. Or maybe they did move the steering wheel. I have to go check my Instagram. But it's there. It is clearly a Cavalier, and it has a 2000s era Toyota badge on the front. And it still says Cavalier on the back in the GM font, and then Toyota in the Toyota font on the other. And it exists, and it's the Japanese domestic market Cavalier. And the ads are amazing for it. They're the biggest amount of fluff. It said, it's something to the tune of, and it was delightful English, that said, like, we are passionate about driving, and we've partnered from a country who knows about driving excitement or something. I think it was like Chevy's old thing. We present to you the something brought to you from a country who I forget what delightful, like, worships driving or something, or bestows love upon driving. The Cavalier. J-body.
The funniest thing is, and I think you said to me that you noticed it when you're in New Zealand, is like, say, with Skylines and stuff. That, yeah, like they're just Skylines. Like, they don't draw crowds. People, they're just a car.
All right, yeah. It's a Malibu, or they made fast ones, but not this one isn't.
My dad owned a Silhouette, a Skyline Silhouette. That was a dad car.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Look down the street. It's like it's a Ford Taurus. Yeah, they made the fast one, the show, but no. Oh, it was like I forget who. It might have been Chris Harris or someone else who got really excited when they came to the U.S. It was either from it was either dated from the UK before we started bringing the Mustangs over there, or if it was someone from Australia and New Zealand who came over here and got excited when they saw a Mustang. It's like, oh, it's a Mustang. And we're like,
No, that
so?
was me.
Oh, that was you. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That was me. It was the first Mustang I saw. Wow, a Mustang.
There's one right there.
There you go.
It's Nick's. It could be yours for $1,000.
And there was even a Commodore with a turbo Nissan engine.
Commodore, a GM Bates, but
A Holden Commodore, and it was when they introduced unleaded petrol in Australia. It was a VL, and it had they didn't get the fuel injection and stuff working properly, so they put Nissan engines in, and you could get just an EFI or a turbo, VL turbo. And I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was. They were pretty good. We used to mess around with them and stuff.
Yeah. When GM over here was that the 80s?
Yeah.
GM had a thing going on with a Suzu for a while where they would rebadge stuff or there would be parts, but I don't know if GM over here ever messed with Greg's out of here?
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Thanks for hanging out for all this.
All right, see you guys.
See you, Greg. Yep. Thanks for hanging out for so long. We'll see you soon.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Hey, Greg. Thanks for hanging out.
Take care.
Cool. For those watching, I think I'm going to stay in this seat just because I'm comfortable in this seat. Chris Stocklagro says, "Who are all these people?" Oh, there they go. See you, Greg. That was Greg International, another pilot, and we'll see. You saw his red Integra GSR, and a bunch of other planes will come in, and that's also Jim, who knows some GM stuff.
There was one more question from someone who's also from Australia.
Oh, I missed that.
It was in the regular chat.
Yeah.
It was, which Holden is best Holden?
Which Holden is best Holden?
Or which Commodore?
Which Commodore is best
Holden
Commodore?
is the manufacturer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
My favorite Commodore was the VN Group A SS, which was the first model Commodores, and at the time it was like the car, and it took a long, long time for them to bring out other stuff that was faster, and they still hold a place in my heart. And the other Holden, I mean, the Kingswood's a classic, but the Monaro, I think, is something that just has something about it.
I've heard that name brought up a bunch.
Yeah.
The Monaro. When RCR goes to Australia, I think should that be the Holden we do, or should it be another Commodore?
I think so. They did make them over different models, so there are different Monaros, even up to new ones. So because they made them into the 70s and then stopped, and then I don't know, around 2000, I think they started making them again.
Mm-hmm.
They had a car show and released a prototype of what they were thinking of doing, and it was very popular and bringing back the Monaro name. It was a cool looking car. So I think it was a VT Commodore, but I think it's got to go on there with your Falcons too. You know, I mean, you got to check the Falcons out. Yeah,
I want to see stuff like Falcons from the 80s and stuff after they ended in the US and continued. The ones we never saw as they continued to develop the V6. They're out there talking about the car. If you want to show it to Jim, that's what he came over for.
I should.
Yeah.
Let me go do that.
Take it away. Your neighbors choose the strangest times to mow their lawn. Although this time it makes sense because at least it's not as hot now because the sun.
I think I was mowing my lawn like 2 days ago, like when the sun came down.
Yeah, no, but when I was recording one time, I was over here doing one of the RCR stories.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know, it was like late afternoon, like early evening. And, you know, I just hear the buzzing. I'm like, why?
I went and bought an electric lawnmower to be neighborly, and also because I got enough things that I got to change the oil on. I don't need one more thing.
Yeah.
Cole Donnelly doesn't have a question, just has a little cartoon character with pom-poms. Thank you so much. Boris Karloff again saying subject change, top 3 burbs. We're going to go with American Kestrel. Gosh, I don't know. I'm not part of the Audubon Society.
My top 3 Australian birds.
Okay.
The galah, I had them as pets. They're like a cockatoo, but they're pink and grey and it's smaller. The sulphur-crested cockatoo, which is the white one that everything. And the third one's a budgerigar, which is sold everywhere here, but not as a budgerigar.
What's it called?
What do you call it?
Just a budgie?
No, I've just forgotten. Which is why I was hoping you'd know what I was talking about. They're the little, like, green, blue, different coloured birds with a little hook beak in every pet store you go in.
Huh. Oh, are they the ones like in the square cage and they just sort of hop around and they don't fly? Or they could fly, but they can't be bothered.
They can fly, but yeah. I apologise. I just had a brain.
That's okay. I don't know birds.
Yeah, neither do
I'm kind of against people. Like, if you want to, it's a free world. Do what you want. I kind of feel sad when I see birds in a cage.
Yeah.
In Australia, that's the thing. You don't actually have to have them as pets because they're just out in the garden.
Okay.
Yeah, so around. And I only had them as pets because they were originally babies that had come out of nests and things like that. So, yeah, it was cool.
Let's see. Is that thing falling off?
No, I came up with an idea.
Okay.
It's not very visible back here.
Your thoughts on the Toyota Avalon versus the Camrys? Okay. An Avalon is a very expensive Camry. I guess an Avalon is you live in Florida and for whatever reason, you got to show up your neighbors, but you don't want to buy a Cadillac, so you buy a Toyota Avalon. A Toyota Avalon is perfect for a salesman to talk you into it.
Okay.
Camry is just fine. Buy a Camry. Hurricane Ian again says air-to-water intercoolers on the C8. I've seen. Okay, so this guy seen that when Hennessy did things on the C8, they used air-to-water intercoolers. Good answer. Big Cheese, thank you for your donation. Love the channel. Looking forward to submitting my car once they're back on the road, assuming you guys come back to the United Kingdom. Triumph 1300 front-wheel drive and an 89 Mercedes 300 CE. My offer of cassettes still stands. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd love to come back to the UK. I don't know when. Blizzard Drox doesn't have a question, just says, Dan Arnitz. Thank you so much. Old school there.
Yeah.
Dan Arnitz. Clint says, you guys gone to Corvettes at Carlisle this year? No, I'm even questioning whether I'm going to go to Ford Nationals. Yeah. No, I'm not going to there. Thank you for your donation, though. I really appreciate it. Bob says, thank you for your donation. Mr. R looks like George's boss on Seinfeld from this perspective. Steinbrenner.
Yeah,
I love it. From 1983 to 1991, I ate the same meal. Taco salad. There's nothing better than finishing a meal, looking down and seeing just the table.
Sorry to jump in, but someone, actually a few people were good enough to say parakeet.
Parakeet.
It's the word I was trying to think of. Yeah, that was it.
I remember in early Mighty Car Mods videos, there was that laughing bird in the background all the time. What's that?
Oh, that's a kookaburra if it sounds like it's laughing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was loud. It would take over.
But then it might have been a cockatoo that can laugh.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Kookaburra.
Yeah, I don't know which one from the video. I'm sorry.
Do they have cicadas in Australia? Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
Poisonous ones. Everything's poisonous.
Fuck off.
Yeah, no, that's bullshit.
Delightful.
Okay. Poisonous cicadas. You had me for a second right there. Poisonous parakeets. Yeah, no, it's poisonous, mate. Phil McWonder says, in reference to beer talk earlier, hoppy beer tastes like drinking a pine cone. Yeah, I get it. I gotta shout, you guys. You should try 8th Wonder Rocket Fuel. That sounds busy. Busy in my mouth.
Yeah, it does.
Iced Ink, a familiar face. Thank you for your donation, Iced Ink. Okay, it's a question for Tony, who is outside right now demonstrating the Honda Beat to Jim. Tony, what 5M mods were you playing with Instagram? Curious. Also, RCR, any interest in lending your voices to a 24 Hours of Lemons iRacing event? I don't know if I have the stamina to that. I mean, if I was being paid, great. But like, I like auto racing, but I can't fake enthusiasm for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what would it entail? Is it just like live commentary on it?
Can I talk about anything I want?
Yeah. Are we just like doing a sort of, hey, you know, what, talk to the wife last night? It's just like sort of a, I don't know. Could you do it in a character or something the whole time? Just not really bothering.
Can I do it as Harold Slavinsky the entire time? That'd be fun, bringing back. And I'd keep doing it until it stops being funny, and maybe it'll be funny again, and then it won't be funny anymore. And I keep doing it. Mundane Cemetery. That's a cool name. Hello from Russia. Hello.
Hello.
Give me all your $200 cars. Well, they don't exist anymore.
No, they do not.
Scrap prices is $200. Maybe $350 if you got a truck.
Yeah.
But even then, truck you can probably sell. Even if it doesn't have a title for it, people will take it apart. There are no $200 cars anymore. Sorry. The 90s were a long time ago.
Yes, they were, sadly.
Yeah. But hey, thanks for tuning in from Russia. I appreciate it. Boris again for like the fourth time. And also, he says, happy birthday, Roman.
Oh, thank you so much. It was last Saturday. Wait, no, not this past Saturday. It was on the 11th. Okay. 7-11. It's a hard birthday to forget. But it's also very nice to be now eligible to run for the presidency. I'll never do it. But to know I could is very important.
I'm heading towards the discounted meal at Denny's.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You get that grand slam in the morning.
Worry.
I wonder if they double it up with the early bird special. Ian's Variety Channel again says, my dad owns a Eagle R&D helicycle kit helicopter. Would potentially get a plane in the future, but not in that tax bracket yet. A helicycle. I don't know what that is. Yeah. Okay, so finally Greg's going home and Tony's putting his roof up.
But I mean, they've been promising us flying cars forever, haven't they? And we're in the future. Where are they?
Where are they? That insurance won't let it happen. Imagine your average American flying. Smash.
Everyone thinks the Traffic in the Fifth Element was bad.
You have these people buying the 49cc Chinese scooters after they get their DUIs. Like, hey, you don't need a license to drive this yet. You don't need a motorcycle license to drive these. Or people strapping the two-stroke gasoline engines to bicycles after they get their DUIs. There was a guy for a while in this town who was rolling around on one of those things. You could hear him going to work every morning. He had his lunch sack over his shoulder. Off he went. 6 o'clock in the morning. I could do that thing. You know when you wake up, but you don't really wake up? Yeah. And your eyes are closed, but you're still aware. And you hear this guy screaming from one end of the town to the other. And then one or two times, I must have been waking up for like an early morning flight out of PHL, and I caught that guy. I saw him from my window from my old apartment. And you hear this two-stroke engine, and here comes this bicycle. But going, like, the engine's going crazy, and the bicycle's going like 25 miles an hour. It's like, oh, there he goes. And there he goes. There you go. Acoustic Theory, thank you for your generous donation just to hear me say Dale Cockring.
Dale Cockring.
Never tried one myself, but life is long. Mundane Cemetery again, with Rupels saying, you can't tell me what to do from Russia. He's still going to look for his $200 cars. Tony, we had a Tony question here while you were out there from Ice Ink says, and I don't know what this means, so it may be an airplane term. Tony, what 5M mods were you playing with Instagram recently? I'm curious. I'm gonna pee. Anybody else pee break? Nope. Okay.
What 5M mods were you playing recently on Instagram? I'm curious. Also at RCR, any interest in lending your voices to a 24 hours of Lemons iRacing event? I didn't know iRacing does 24 hours of Lemons stuff. That's pretty cool. Yes, I've been playing a lot of, oh God, what's it called? Transport Tycoon on 5M, which is a multiplayer mod for Grand Theft Auto 5. Where you just essentially work, but in vehicles, whether that be cars, boats, planes, trains. Who cares? Yeah, I've been playing Transport Tycoon, which I only recently found out about a month ago that you can do that, and they have a lot of really cool like add-on planes like the American Airlines 787 or whatever, Delta A350, which I only just unlocked. It's very fun playing, but it's cool. I've never been a fan of Grand Theft Auto 5 like I was with San Andreas, just because the multiplayer, or the original Rockstar multiplayer, was terrible, and single player was okay. But now with add-ons and mods, it's amazing. So yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah, cool server.
I just saw in the normal chat a guy who says that he watches AFL football. He was saying, "Go the Roosters," which is the team. So, and to be honest, all the teams have changed over the years. So I'm not exactly sure who's who these days. Yeah. But AFL's a cool game. Yeah, you ever seen it?
No.
You should watch some Aussie footy. Sports
ball.
Sports ball.
The hand egg. I would be flying with captains, or like,
we gave it our best shot.
I'd be flying with captains who are like really invested in sports and be like, "Yo, did you see the Phillies last night on WBS? And oh my God, Derek Jeter with that touchdown, or Tiger Woods with that putt." And I'd be like, "No." Or I'd fake my way to be nice to him.
Display last night. Motorific, the end is in sight. We've got 2 more to do.
Yep.
Motorific. Submitted my cars and bike, but abbreviated PA. Should I resubmit it with it spelled out? Yes, it's pretty good to spell out the name of the state you're in, because otherwise it's hard to search for stuff. Love the show. Hope to have you roast my vehicles in person one day, but it would be great to touch base with you. Thank you very much, Motorific. Thank you for the donation. It will be well spent. Wookie Automo TV says, "Dang, missed out on another podcast live." Well, we're still doing it, or unless that was probably a while ago. Oh well, here's beer money and greetings from an extremely hot Texas Motor Speedway. Oh, God love you. Thank you. Hey, Texas is great. I never had a bad time there. Hope to visit there again sometime. I don't know when. Texas does what it wants. That's another state that you gotta. Yeah.
Same with Florida.
Texas, Florida.
Come on, guys.
Louisiana.
Get good.
Stop ruining recess for everybody.
That's a line. Yeah. And I think that's a podcast. So thank you to everybody who hung with us. This was a long one. We're at 2 hours and 22 minutes. Thank you to everybody who showed up. Thank you for everybody who's watching the back of my head right now and also can probably see themselves down here in the bottom of the, I'm mirrored, down here in the bottom of the screen. So I'm going to put some water in me and some food with me. Thank you to Greg International for showing up. Thank you to Jim for stopping by. Thank you to Cameron for hanging out all day today. Yeah. Thank you to Tony Airlines for answering questions. Thank you to everybody who's donated to Super Chat for this. You're keeping RCR's travel coffers significantly filled. And thank you to everybody who donates to the Patreon. That also is money for our travel budget. I hope to see you out there when we pull ourselves through the 2020. There's got to be a word for it, like 2020 sadness. The 20s.
The 20s were a dark time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The malaise.
Yeah.
The second malaise era.
Yeah. Well, that's a show. Have a very good Tuesday night and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Good one, guys.
Bye.
Can I fart?